It's Wednesday, January 8th, 2020. Last I checked, I'm still your Ella V, and these are the cryptosphere's top stories for today. Bitcoin price rockets past the $8,000 mark as Iran hits U.S. bases in Iraq. Is war the price pusher? Blockchain makes a splash at the high-profile annual Consumers Electronics Show in Vegas. And non-fungible tokens are coming to Steemit. And soon we will all be creating and trading one-of-a-kind digital assets. Welcome, and the price of Bitcoin is the lead story. It has ballooned, surging past the $8,000 mark, now holding at roughly $800 and $300 at the time of this taping. Now, many have attributed the price increase to the recent tensions in the Middle East, with the most recent jump correlating with the reprisal attack on a U.S. Army base in Iraq by Iran. The recent escalation comes on the heels of a tense week between the United States and Iran, and many are attributing the spike in price to the drumroll of war. So let's see where all of this began in Usher Westrup-Evans' report.
Tensions are high. The world watches as the US and Iran are squaring up. In the wake of the assassination of a senior Iranian general by US forces, market volatility has surged. Key indicators oil and gold both jumping, followed by Bitcoin hours later, seeming in part to validate its safe haven narrative. As the rest of the week played out, a nervous calm entered markets that seemed unwilling to decide on a direction until Iran's seemingly inevitable retaliation played out. That wish was granted when Iran launched a barrage of missiles at US military bases in Iraq. This action had a seemingly direct impact on markets, as oil, gold, and Bitcoin all traded in tight formation, investors fleeing to safer ground. Now, as the world waits to see how the US will respond to Iranian military action, Bitcoin's safe haven status looks, at least for now, an increasingly credible theory.
And Usher Westrup-Evans joins us in studio. Usher, where to from here?
Well, yeah, the question is, will Bitcoin retain its status in this marketplace if the ongoing drums of war continue to roll, as you said it before, Yael? Will Bitcoin continue to stay in that tight formation, particularly with gold? Now, oil, a bit more of an outlier because the oil market has fundamentally changed. Obviously, hitting any targets in the Middle East can cause a risk of supply shock, but now with the US being such a massive net exporter around the world of oil, it's a little bit different to past wars we've seen in this region. But when it comes to that Bitcoin-gold relationship, that narrative of safe haven is something that Bitcoin advocates will continue to hold on to, but this could be, for better or worse, the opportunity that they've been waiting for to really prove that point or have the theory broken down.
Very, very true in that respect. All that said, then there's always, the tether and the possible printing spree story, so to speak. Allegedly, 500 million tethers were printed in the last 24 hours. Some people believe that that is the cause for the increase, not Iran. We spoke to James Zhang, co-founder of Black Panther Capital out of Beijing, who believes that theory. Let's have a listen.
The way I see this is that you take Iran right now, right? And then you look back a few months and there was the entire US-China trade war, and Bitcoin popped at the time as well. But that is very, 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 very on a macro scale. But if you look at exactly what happened, Tether's market cap, I'm sure I don't need to say this to anyone that's looking at this that's in crypto, jumped 500 million. So that, I think the injection is what drove the market, and not really this Iran and US tension.
Now, Usher, that tether theory at this specific time is not proven, is it?
No, certainly not. It is a well-developed theory throughout the sphere, but in this particular instance, it's a tricky one because the only site reporting that increase, that $500 million increase in Tether's overall market cap, was actually CoinMarketCap, the leading data metric site in the crypto space. They reported a sudden, and I mean abrupt, jump in the value of 500 million into the market. Zero announcement, zero sort of backgrounding, zero statements from Tether or parent company Bitfinex after that, that it just pumped. But no other data websites, including other leading data sites like CoinGecko, reported that similar jump. But the theory remains, Yael, that jump on CoinMarketCap was enough to cause bots to begin trading wildly on that, and that caused the pump in markets. This Tether
it's a theory also that can be, one can argue, can be proven statistically with past events.
There has been a correlation to the sort of tune of about 70% on the previous printing of Tether, injections into the market, and rises in Bitcoin. There hasn't been any Tether printing taken place since August of last year. So in that sense, it does give the theory some credibility, but correlation, causation, what's leading and what's following is the market pumping, and that's what's causing Tether to go out and print more, or in fact in this instance where it appears that there wasn't actually any printing. What's leading the markets? Is it a self-fulfilling prophecy? Well, there are many points to this theory. We'll have to wait and see.
Entirely so. Thank you, Asher Westerp-Evans, for this report. Now, every 50 years, the Consumers Electronics Show in Vegas has been the go-to place for innovators and tech entrepreneurs. And this year, blockchain could not be missed if you were in attendance in Vegas. Our very own Yona Hochhauser, who is not in Vegas, but here in studio with us, has been tracking the event closely. And Yona, how prominent is blockchain in this year's CES?
Well, Yael, I do wish I was in Vegas, but I'll take being here. You guys are a lot of fun. So we actually, while blockchain is not really the headliner, it's not the big tag word at CES this year. We were joined live by Ethan Pierce. He is the head of the Crypto Assets Institute, and he is in Vegas firsthand. He went to all the conferences, and he had this to say about blockchain's presence at CES.
There were some crypto startups exhibiting in the digital money space, but it was a bit small this year. I think it's mostly because even though it's become an innovation conference, on the hardware side, there's only so much, in the crypto space to do. If people think that that's really what's here, if it's just hardware, we're seeing a lot more soft and different things come to CES. But on the blockchain side, what's really interesting is the main themes of this year are, a lot of it's around privacy and cybersecurity, digital health, the smart home, and so inside an awful lot of these topics, we're going to find that somewhere in the technology stack they might actually be using a ledger in order to make a lot of that happen. So blockchain is not a big theme of this CES, but I feel like it's kind of a subject just kind of laying under an awful lot of the main themes that are here. So there's plenty going on in this space in terms of discussion.
So, blockchain in attendance, but also some Bitcoin trashing, right?
Exactly. There was a forum on digital money there. And in that forum, on that panel, was Vice Chairman for Libra, Dante Descartes, and he had this, let's just put it this way. He bashed Bitcoin. He was saying that it's failed as a payment method. Now, obviously, he's has a biased opinion because he is a competing Libra.
Not only that, because Libra ain't that successful thus far, but
exactly.
okay, yeah.
Well, maybe he's not one to talk, but Ethan also had this to say on that.
Everybody has their opinions on what technology works and what technology has limitations and what won't scale and blah blah blah. I think it's funny to we have Bitcoin and Bitcoin works, so I think it's curious to have Libra saying, well, your thing that actually is out there doesn't work, but our thing that isn't out there does.
Yona Hochhauser, although you're not in Vegas, thank you for this report. Now to Australia. Australia is being ravaged by the worst wildfire seen in decades, with large parts of the country devastated since the fire season began in late July. At least 25 people and approximately 1 billion animals have died since the fires began. Foreign governments, private institutions, celebrities, and everyday people have responded to the country's plight by offering prayers, thoughts, and donations, of course, to the Australian bonfire relief, with one key player in the cryptosphere going one step further. Binance Charity announced yesterday that it had made a $1 million worth of BNB donation as a lead for its new charity project titled Australia Bushfire Donations, designed to raise funds for the dire situation in the country. Speaking about the donation, Changpeng Zhao, Binance CEO, also known as CZ, made a plea to the Sphere and the company's blog to follow his lead, saying, donating for Australia Bushfire's charity program is the most direct and effective approach to make an impact, and we are also calling for the whole crypto community to join us in supporting Australia. Now, the do-good move comes on the heels of another initiative Binance recently announced, namely that it is offering Australian dollar pairing through a new partnership. And luckily for us, we have our very own Australian, Asher Westerp-Evans, here to explain what that really means.
Yeah, El. So Binance is going to be offering new fiat onboarding through Banksa, a facilitator to enable this onboarding for the Australian dollar, the British pound, and in select countries, the euro as well. Part of a grand plan that CEO CZ has said he wants to have all of the globe's 180 fiat currencies as a potential for fiat onboarding by the end of 2020. Certainly an ambitious goal.
Very much so. Asher Westrup-Evans, thank you so much for this. Steemit, the blockchain-based blogging and social media website, just announced that it will enable users to create and trade their own non-fungible tokens, or NFTs. And of course, Zaki Hennessy is with us to explain that move and its significance. Zaki, remind our viewers what exactly NFTs are and how they work.
I would love to. NFTs are basically unique digital tokens. So any one Bitcoin is identical to the next. In other words, it's a fungible token. Now, an NFT or non-fungible token is basically a unique token that has a specific ID which matters. In the gaming sense, one popular application of this tech is CryptoKitties, where each kitty has its own identity.
And what is Steemit planning exactly? What are their initial use cases?
Right, so Steemit is, to put it frankly, just a little bit obtuse. They've got a lot of fingers and a lot of pies. But what's relevant here is that Steemit is producing a digital trading card game that they call Splinterlands, which is where they're implementing these NFTs by way of trading cards. So each card will have a unique identity, and through this, balanced and monitored scarcity will be possible, which is, choice in a trading card game, as well as making it easier to prevent counterfeiting. Now, this definitely isn't the first time that a trading card game has used NFTs, though. For example, the very popular blockchain-based card game Gods Unchained has been using NFTs for months now, if not a year already, and it's already, really picking up steam. So they're going to need to try pretty hard to compete in that space.
Entirely so, but none of them have a fabulous scarf like yours. Zaki, I want to thank you so much for this report. And it's time for Troll of the Day, and today something a bit different. Geeta Gopinath is the chief economist for the IMF, and in a recent op-ed in the Financial Times, she had this to say about Bitcoin. Advances in payment technologies do not address fundamental issues of what it takes to be a global reserve currency. The dollar's status is bolstered by the institution's rule of law and credible investor protection that the United States is seen as providing. So, a high-level troll from the sphere, but a troll nonetheless. We asked Bitcoin bull Dan Held of Kraken to respond to her statements. This is what Held had to say.
Bitcoin would have no place in this world if every government had stuck to the gold standard. If every government was fiscally responsible, if history didn't demonstrate over and over that governments will print more money and devalue their currency. Now, if that wasn't true, Bitcoin wouldn't need to be here. But because of their actions, Bitcoin was necessary, and that's why it exists.
And that was Around the Block for today. Thank you for watching. For more blockchain, tech, and cryptocurrency news, do not forget to visit us at blocktv.com, and we'll see you tomorrow.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.